comedy stuff, which I don't have much of it, but sometimes people go for that. And he said, but you're wrong, and you're this. So I said, could you give me one example? I lost him for a day. Then I said, if anything that you have a question, if it's history, bring it to a historian. If it's philosophy, bring it to a teacher of any city college philosopher. Say, is this guy right or wrong? If it's theology, there's nothing you can do, really. Theology, a guy decides that Hashem has a BMW, it's theology. It's the nature of the deity. No one knows if Hashem has a BMW or not. If Hashem likes little kids, or he likes older people, or he likes beautiful people, or he likes ugly people, no one knows. Theology is explaining the unknowable to the not worth knowing. It's not going to make a difference in this world anyway, because it's not part of science. So you can't predict it. Could we predict Hashem? We can't predict it. We could predict nature, but nature is not theology. It's nature. It's not miracles. It's nature. Birth of a baby is nature. It's miraculous, but it's nature. It's not miracles. I can make a baby, so it's not a miracle. A miracle is when you can do something I could fly without the aid of technology. That would be, and I become a Jesus. But you have a question on history, historian. You have a question on physics, you just ask a scientist in physics. If I make a claim about biology that may be true or not true, ask a biologist. Usually I give the references. Most of the references...
What about religion? Let's say you make a statement with religion and someone doesn't agree with what you said.
When you use the word religion, you have to qualify what about the religion. Judaism, what about history?
Right.
Jewish history is regular history. We're part of this world, just like the guy, Morgan Freeman says, he doesn't like Black History Month. Black history is American history.
Yeah.
So if I make a claim about the Romans and the Jews and the time in Judea, it's history.
So you can
Paul Johnson can help
Anyone
me.
can check it out.
Everything that I have is from the library, nothing I cooked up in my house. Darwinism, they use the word Darwinism. It's not Darwin. Darwin didn't make it up in his lab, in the back of his house by having a dream. He went around. So people were doing what Darwin did before him. But once the masses call it Darwinism, you can't change it. You can't collect the word, right? So even Misnagdim probably wouldn't like the word Misnagdim. They would rather choose a word like Poskin or whatever. But so anything that you have. So back to this guy in Australia who looks at me and never got back to me when I gave him the tools to learn. I told him, when you go to the library, there's a supernatural section where a guy writes a book about ghosts. He's been collecting pictures of ghosts his whole life, photos. And it claims that this has to be a ghost, because this shadow is a little too strong, and da-da-da. Still, we don't believe in ghosts. No scientist is convinced that ghosts exist. But there's a whole section with so many books that so many people wrote. It's a supernatural section, and there's the mystical section, oh, nonsense. And then there's the science section. Science doesn't deal with the supernatural. The word supernatural itself is a stidum in obey. If it's natural, we can find it.
Yeah.
Everything in the universe is natural, according to what it is. So what is supernatural? It's just a word that people hear it, and if you look at this midas on Shabbos, it says in Oifei Shemaya, Bada Nasha, and then Malachim. They thought Malachim are just invisible flying eagles. Who says Malachim have wings? Maybe they walk without flying. Why do they need wings anyway if they're not dealing with the laws of physics?
Yeah.
They don't need to take off.
You can just teleport.
Right. So why do malachim need wings? Because this is human imagination. It's human imagination that creates these paintings. Like a girl who was making a picture of God in class. And what are you drawing over there? She said, I'm drawing God. She goes, but no one knows how God looks. She says, they will in 5 minutes. So that's the word. Anything that if someone finds it to be wrong, if I said that you have to wear, without wearing 2 pairs of tefillin, you're not yoitze, so someone could say, according to Rashi, it's not true, because Rashi never wore a Tam, and according to the Gemara, you need 40 pairs. So that's where you get into controversy. That's where there's room for controversy, but what I'm saying, you could give other theories. There's arguments on who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. Some people say it's the Essenes, some people say it was different groups, some people say it was moved. So Jody Magnus says she's a woman that's very good in pottery. So because she's so good in pottery, she gave the best theory to all the scholars. The scholars heard all the shittas and they loved Jody Magnus' shitta. Because her shitta was that the way the pottery was made, it's a local group of people writing the scrolls or whatever, influencing, but they were there locally. It wasn't that they found a place to hide the scrolls. Because we have to know, did they live there or not? So they claimed that they didn't live there, that there were separatist people who were out of the city. It helps us. It helps us see what's going on.
Okay, so 2 more questions and we're done.
I'll try to do it short.
This question, I'm very interested to hear.
Wow.
I think this was a monumental event in Chabad history. I'm going to put it that much.
What was it?
Sounds large, but okay.
Uh-huh.
I think it was such a monumental thing that happened in this generation in Chabad. Never before has there been a platform where so many people...
But it's controlled platform.
Right, so that's okay.
It's like
so,
COL.
So this is what I want to get to. The early stages of that group were amazing. Yeah, the first week, first 2-3 weeks, it was raw, right? People were putting out
Everything they felt.
everything. If you, someone said, you get a team of psychologists, a team of